and heroes. Gonna tell you about pros and heroes. Gonna tell you about
comic books, costumes,
facts, boots,
and other stuff.
In this week's issue, Lex Luthor, Man of Steel?
Welcome into Bros, Foes, and Heroes. I'm Zach, joined as always by the non-bald, haired-having, now helmet-wearing one, Mr. Mike. Mike?
This helmet is gigantic.
It doesn't have, if you'll take it off, you'll notice it doesn't have like the padding in it.
I kind of like the fact that it fits my head. Like, it doesn't, but I've never put on a helmet that was this loose.
Well, again, because I don't think it has any of the top padding in there. That's left over from one of our sports shows. Oh, you got...
He can turn his head
This
all
is
the way
a-
around. That's how the magicians do it.
So, audio people, Mike just took the helmet and pretended to
Poor
turn
audio
it.
people.
At one point in time, the show was only for you, and now
That's true.
we would explain more because it was just audio. Now we just show things.
That is true. We got something coming up this later that we're going to do.
Yes.
For us, it's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow. I was like, what are you talking about? And then it hit me.
We're going to do our first watch along.
We are. That's true.
And here's the reason I'm saying this now is because we didn't plan on talking about this or anything, but
We didn't.
I'm thinking the audio people. So
that's true.
I listened to a show called Neighborhood Listen, which is Paul F. Tompkins, and it's wonderful show. They do some extra content where they do these watch along things, but it's mostly for the audio crowd. So they'll say, okay, starting a movie now.
Yeah, and that's what I think
And then
we'll
they just
do.
boom. Yeah, if you want to watch it along, that's great.
I think that's what we'll do. And honestly, these could start some things of where we just do audio watch-alongs of where we watch some of these movies. Because I haven't watched any of, there's a good chunk of Marvel movies I haven't watched since, the Spider-Man one. But not even that. There are some gems that you see posts of, the 90s Captain America movie. Or even the Fantastic Four one that they had to make back in the 90s, too, to keep the rights, which that is what our first watch-along is. It's going to be the most recent Fantastic Four movie. I never saw it. I know Mike has and thinks...
No. I haven't
you
seen
haven't?
it. I haven't seen it. Here's I will give you just a brief little background here. My wife watches every Harry Potter, Star Wars superhero movie there is. Came in the other day, she's watching Craven and just about threw up on myself. So...
I've heard bad things.
It's all terrible stuff. It's Sony. We get it at this point. They're bad. They're bad movies. They have zero to do with the Ultimate Universe and world building and all that stuff. It's just a cash grab is all it is. And so I watched part of it as I'm playing along. By the way, I want to apologize. I had sinus surgery the other day, and I still have these things stuck up in my nose, and so I kind of sound like I've swallowed a duck. So... and maybe I have. Anyway, I have seen it on in the background when she's been watching it. Okay. And I don't want you to think my wife is a total idiot. She's not.
I don't. She's a lovely woman.
She likes these. She likes these because they are background movies.
Oh, I totally understand.
You put them on, it just plays while you're building a castle on your phone or whatever.
You want me to let you in on a little secret?
That
there, Mike?
seems like a 70s song that should be remade now.
Sorry, I got to get us on the right.
Yeah,
there we go.
That seems like a 70s song that should be remade now about games you play on your phone, building castles on your phone. Doesn't that sound like a very 70s? Yeah,
I like that. I was going to say,
castles.
Oddly enough, one of the ones
and then somebody gets cancer at the end of it.
At the game or the song?
Yes.
You know what else?
That's why you got to build the castle.
This is completely off topic, but there are way too many sad Christmas songs too.
Oh yeah,
you saying that?
There's too many Christmas everything.
Well,
by the way,
but you remember that song about Christmas shoes and stuff, and it's like a kid saving up money to buy his dying mother Christmas shoes.
Yeah. It's a terrible one. No, and they made a movie out of it and the whole thing.
Did they really?
Yeah.
It's like I understand it. I just don't like.
As a former teacher, it was almost required watching.
Well, here's things I don't mind feeling when I listen to music.
Shoes.
Right? Happiness. Joy.
I like that.
The feeling that I want to dance or sing along.
Love it.
Right?
Yeah.
Even sometimes, songs that make me feel better about myself or kind of
pump the sky kind of thing.
Yeah, what I don't like to hear in my music, things that make me want to cry as soon as I'm done.
Yeah.
I say that knowing full well that I have a playlist that I listen to when I'm sad to help me. So
there is a young lady, and I say young lady because I'm an old man.
Yeah.
There's two of them. There's two old ladies in the world, or two young ladies in the world. Her name is Gabby, and she does. Her name is Gabby Bell on YouTube. Okay. Shout out to Gabby Bell. If you're listening to this, please hit us up. That'll never happen. But
hey, Gabby,
she does like these. I don't know. Her videos are like 30 minutes long, right? Where she's doing. Yeah. Like what was the one? Like TikTokification of music or something like that, right? Very like poignant kind of things, but like the one I watched yesterday when I was in the middle of a fever bout was about her talking about how comedy movies suck at this point. Mm-hmm. All comedy movies are the same thing. It's The Rock being The Rock. It's Kevin Hart screaming. It's all the stuff I always say about comedy movies. Comedy movies are bad now. Think of a comedy movie that's come out like in the last, I don't know, let's say 5 to 10 years.
I haven't watched a movie in forever.
That you would say is a classic versus like the ones that came out in the 80s, 90s, stuff like that. Let's say National Lampoon's Vacation. What's the one that's come out since 2000 that's that one?
Okay, I see what you're saying, but I know that there have been more recent comedies in 2000.
Well, yeah, there's been more recent comedies.
No. That I mean that people are like,
if you go on Netflix right now, and this is something she pointed out to me yesterday. If you go on Netflix right now, Parasite, the Korean movie that won Best Picture, is listed as a comedy.
Well,
Nope.
Oh, okay.
There's no defending that. Yep. So what ultimately, I guess my point was that movies are bad. I don't know. I don't know what my point was.
Well, where'd
we start with that?
I don't know.
Because I just kept going. And
you did.
I don't know what happened.
Let me try to get us back on track here. Before we get into our story today, which, of course, we're continuing our Superman coverage until the Superman movie, which, by the way, we need to figure out when we're going to go see it.
By the way, if somebody, and do not tell me this, or do not say anything, okay? But if somebody can tell me why this particular footage is playing behind me during the thing that we're going to do, well, now this maybe not the one, but the next one at least.
It'll be, but I mean, we'll keep it up, but
I'll keep it up. If anybody can tell me.
Just the link between the two.
Yeah, if anybody can tell me the link here, I would love to know.
I'm wondering, here's the thing that I want to know, is because I could just make it full screen and kind of give it away a bit, but I'm not going to do that.
I still don't think it would give it away.
Okay, but still, I'm going to leave it like this, but I wonder if what's on, and you can look what's on the corner of your screen that would kind of help if it ever switches to the other side.
Oh, it definitely would help. Yes, it definitely would help. But yeah, that's a cool little mystery. Look what we've done. We made a mystery.
Here's the thing. Now you have to watch to try to figure out what's going on behind mine. You might not listen to anything else, but
by the way, I covered up Howard Stern's face.
Oh, with the koosh ball.
Yeah, with the koosh ball.
You think those will make a comeback? Anyway,
shout out to Claire Saint Amand, by the way.
Oh yes, Killer Story, her book up there.
Yeah.
You think she's going to let us help her with her?
I think she will if we can help her get a hold of somebody. Yeah, she wants to do a sports documentary.
That's a big get, though.
I get it.
I want to help with it, but that's a... okay.
I looked at her and I was like, aren't you the one that does it? I mean, you're the one that's been in media. I don't know.
We'll figure that out. Here's the thing. Maybe the Dream's a fan of the show.
We need to talk with our buddy.
Kim, what's up?
We need to talk with this guy.
The Philadelphia
Pete.
Eagle?
We need to talk with Pete.
All right. Anyway, let me go ahead and try to
get us back on. I'm so sorry.
Track.
I'll shut up.
I had something prepared before we got into it. Today we are continuing our Superman coverage, and again, we need to figure out when we're going to go see the movie.
Yes.
But we are covering Lex Luthor, Man of Steel this week, and then next week we are starting All-Star Superman, which is a 12-issue story by Grant Morrison with art by Frank Quitely, and this is
Frank Quitely.
Frank Quitely.
Huh? What a name!
And this is a book that everybody. Well, not everybody, that a lot of people love. It is their, it's one of the, this is a great Superman story, or this is, for some people, the Superman story. Some people don't, obviously, not everything is everybody's cup of tea, but I wanted to save this because.
Especially coffee.
Because thematically, or just maybe not thematically is the right word, but a sense of feel. James Gunn himself has said that that's like what he got the feel for this Superman. It's not the same story-wise, obviously. As you'll get into it, you'll realize why it's not the same story-wise, but it's the same just kind of tone in a way of like, this could kind of be the same Superman.
Yeah.
But also just a great Superman story. And we did a series last year that I urge people to go back and listen to if you want more just Superman story content, that I titled it Superman Stories That Don't Suck, because they were fantastic stories. And this is going to lead into what I was going to dive into before we get into Lex Luthor. And the stories we covered that you can go back and listen to, like Action Comic 775 of what's wrong or what's so funny about Truth, Justice, and the American Way that Joe Kelly wrote, which is Superman versus the Elite, which is a great story. We covered Alan Moore's Superman. We also covered Kingdom Come, which is art by Alex Ross, which is gorgeous, and written by Mark Waid. I would like to point out, Mike, this last week, technically this week, but this last week when this comes out on Monday, a new book came out that DC's doing, and they do these every so often, and I do appreciate these, and I think that we should get the most recent at some point in time and talk about them.
Ooh.
But they put together like histories of the entire universes in comic book form. So it's like, all right, here's our continuity from...
Now, is this like a series? Like it's several books?
So this is going to be like I think it's 4 parts. Yeah, one of 4. So Mark Waid, who
I can think of is the old Marvel ones that I used to have.
Yeah, exactly.
The encyclopedias or whatever they were called at that point.
Mark Waid, who wrote Kingdom Come, among a lot of other great stuff. He's been a comic book writer forever, and he's a guy that's very much known for being like his encyclopedic knowledge of...
Is that Catman?
Just comic books. Is
that the guy's name? Catman?
It is. And it's like, the Sandman. I know, but that's
Sandman's kick ass though.
Dude, but that's the thing. It's like he just knows so much. Like that's the reason why they wanted him to do Kingdom Come, is because that's a lot of history you're dealing with.
Sure.
And that's a guy, this was even in the 90s. Like, this is always a guy who very much a Superman guy, but also very much just a comic book guy in like his history. I wanted to show this off.
Look at the juxtaposition between Batman and Catman. And somebody has to be looking at Catman and go, "Whoo, boy, we really dodged a bullet there."
I love, though, the art for this, but I also love, again, like it's a continued story.
Wow.
And I'm just going to tell you, I'm not covering it all. Again, it came out. Go get your issue. Again, issue 1 of 4. This is the first part of it. I just wanted to tie it together.
What is that white thing over there under the Superman cape?
I don't know. I don't know everything. I think maybe it's like wraps from something, because like Gingold is from the Elongated Man.
Gingold?
It's the Gingold. It's like the drink. It was
that's the story my doorbell. That's the sound my doorbell makes.
Yeah, but there's Gingold. Like Superman's cape. Skeets is over there in the corner. Booster Gold's robot.
Yeah.
There's so there's
Jason's
a bunch of different...
mask is up top.
I think it's related to somebody else, and I
Penguin's hat.
No, it's a Hitman, not Hitman. It's a dog character. Oh my goodness.
Oh, it's Top Hat Boy or whatever that guy. Who's the guy that we covered that was like Top Hat Man or something?
Top Hat Man.
Remember that? He had like a hat on his shirt. Like his whole emblem was just a top hat.
Oh, that was purple Jaguar or whatever.
Whatever it was.
No, Mad Hatter.
Yes, it was just a top hat on his shirt.
Anyway, they have the story, which I appreciate it. He
wore a hat for a shirt.
They have Barry Allen, who's one of the Flashes.
Yeah, sure.
Who obviously can run really fast, and in this can, travel through time.
Ooh, have you seen Ezra Miller lately?
No, I haven't.
Oh boy, he looks bad.
Really?
Oof.
But he can travel through different multiverses and different times, throughout history. And so it makes sense of this that he's like, so I'm documenting all this the best I can for my journeys, kind of.
You think those are Plastic Man's glasses? You see right there in the forefront?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, they could be. Like, that's the thing. Is if
He's
I
the
sit
only
there,
one. Well, it's him and Mr. Freeze are the only two I've ever known that had those.
Oh no, Captain Cold. Captain Cold has them.
Oh, that's who I meant. Who I meant. Yeah. But because he was a big deal on Justice League or Super Friends.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
But I included some, and so they tell the whole history, and they start back from the beginning. Like the creation of Apocalypse and New Genesis, it happens before. It goes through like caveman times. Like I was showing you.
Oh, wow.
I found a page of Camelot 3000, which you might be familiar with.
I love some Camelot 3000.
So they're like pulling everything in. I also found they focus on back in the Wild West characters.
Yeah.
And I'm just skipping through pages. Like it's telling this in chronological order. So it's like hey, here's things that happen. And they're pulling from
You talk
everywhere.
about a character that they really screwed. Jonah Hex.
Yeah,
my God, that movie was awful.
Well, here's something that I wanted to add that I found very funny. If you see there in the middle, there's a character
Lone
named
Ranger?
Texas Ranger Jack Woods.
Okay.
Now, I found this. It's a Reddit post, so take it. I mean, but still, I thought it was very interesting. Somebody posted that said that it's just Mark Waid kind of that it's just that character of Texas Ranger Jack Wood posing, but that technically it's an appearance by DC's first ever hero, that he was printed in comics before even like, you know, detective and adventure comics and all this, because they would print like pulp magazines and like Wild West and stuff like that. But they add, and I just thought this was very funny, that he made appearances across 40 or so issues in the mid to late 30s, and that he last appeared after Superman debuted, but in Adventure Comics 1942 in August 15th of 1939 is the last time this guy appeared in comics. Wow. And that issue ended on a cliffhanger to where he would never appear again until literally the day that came out.
Okay, coolest name on that.
So they want to talk about a deep cut.
Coolest name on that page is Johnny Thunder, because that's just a kick-ass name.
For sure.
Worst name on that page is Pow Wow Smith. Pow Wow Smith.
I also wanted to add, Mike.
Oh, man, Uncle Sam.
But if you look down in the right corner, who is also now a part of the history?
I don't know who we're talking about.
Bottom right corner.
Yeah.
Looks like a guy who might have taught himself how to fly by watching Condors.
Really? It's Black Condor.
Yeah, figured Black Condor makes an appearance. Uncle Sam, who we talked about recently, does
That's what I'm saying. We talked about Uncle Sam.
Also, Doll Man, like it covers everything.
Wait, which one's Black Condor? The one in the red?
No, the one underneath him in the red. You see him flying like stretched out over the woman in yellow and green.
Oh, that's him. Oh, see, I wouldn't have known. He looks more like Hercules or something.
Yeah, I was pointing it out.
All right.
Also, I included.
I'm used to him falling off a cliff somewhere.
I also included Sergeant
Frank
Rock
right there in the middle.
there.
Yeah.
So you should go and check it out. Also, what's included in here is the
James
way
Gunn,
they...
can you do me a favor, please? I know we don't know each other that well, but can you make a really good Sergeant Rock movie, please?
Well, they were working
even
on
if
it.
it's
I
just a
think they
one-off.
canceled.
I don't care.
I would like
just
this.
a one-off.
I'm going to remove you real quick to try to make this a little bit bigger.
Where'd it go?
Just so you can see how like they went through and they tell you where everything they pulled from's out. Yeah. And it's just pages and pages of that. So
this is very interesting. This is it, and forgive my crudeness, but this is toilet reading, right? But it's very cool, like little factoid stuff.
Well,
that's great to know.
It is. Well, here's the thing that I found very funny. So that's written by Mark. Well, no, I think it's better than that. But I think it's written by Mark Waid, phenomenal writer. And you brought up very well that the Marvel ones that you were used to reading.
Yeah.
The last time Marvel came out with one, I think was either like 2021, 2019, maybe.
What are those things called?
It's the same thing. It's the history of the Marvel Universe. I have the cover for you right here, Mike, of the last one they did. And you want to know what's funny? Look who wrote that one too.
Mark Waid. Yeah.
So right now, both companies' histories and storyline have been written by Mark Waid, which I found very that's a guy. Then
he's the Watcher.
He is.
He's basically the Watcher
for both companies. So it's like, hey, we have a question. So ask Mark.
Weird ass Nova down there.
I don't know. I like that Nova.
Is that a female Nova?
Yeah, I think it is a female Nova.
It looks like they're in the middle of a.
I didn't know there was a female Nova.
Look like they're in the middle of a musical.
Yeah. Do they?
The universe. That kind of thing.
Let me also then, before we get into Lex Luthor,
and why does Silver Surfer have a belt?
To keep his silver pants up.
Okay.
Can I talk to you real quick about things I've read here lately, Mike? And I'll be real quick.
That's cool.
And I'm going to get into it. I've read a couple.
Is this a graphic novel?
These are,
Okay.
They're two graphic novels I've read by the team of Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. One of them being Pulp and the other one being
Brubaker.
Ed Brubaker.
Why do I know that name?
He has worked on a lot in comics too. Captain America, Gotham Central. I just got his Catwoman run in the DC Compact Comics Trial of the Catwoman.
Okay.
Really good writer. He was the executive producer for the last the animated show, the Batman animated show that they did on Amazon.
Oh, okay.
But
did you hear me? Eisner Award winner.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah. No. The team of the Brubaker and Phillips have done a lot together.
He's done some gay and lesbian stuff.
Mm-hmm. The way you say it like that makes it sound weird. But
no, I don't mean that. But yeah, you know what I'm saying.
But the fantastic creative team. And so Pulp I read and Night Fever I read, which I would recommend both very well.
Night Fever.
I'm going to also break down two things a little bit more in depth. I am currently reading Superman Smashes the Klan.
That is not the version I've seen before.
No. But
that's cool looking.
It's written by Gene Lewin Yang and art by Gurihiru.
Is this
also
why
letter
you
by
asked
Janice
me
Chen.
about too cartoony?
No.
Okay.
I asked you about Darwin. I'll show you something about that later.
Because this one feels like
this is on point.
It feels like an anime almost.
Well, it is, but it's very on point for the story.
I'm just looking at the girl. The girl looks very anime-esque.
kind of in a sense. It has more like of a cartoon art style, but I think it's fantastic.
Well, it feels like that. Well. It feels like the 40s cartoon.
So what this is it's a fantastic story that I would recommend people reading because it's just a great story. It's a Superman story, but it's just a great, easy, like kind of like dive in story to get into. But it's also a retelling of a way, and it's based on the 1940s radio.
It's a radio drama
program,
right?
of the same thing. Yeah. Like it's the same, like the Klan that has like a different name that's a loose, correlation.
This is the kind of stuff that I wanted to do with our comic book radio drama.
Yes,
stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so what it is,
old timey radio.
It is, and it's a retelling of that. But what I love about this, and also if you haven't checked out the story behind the actual like radio play of Superman Smashes the Klan, is phenomenal. Of how like there was like an activist and journalist who infiltrated the KKK and got like kind of like broke down and realized they're funneling money here. This is how they're getting the money. Also, this is kind of rather silly and all the different things they do and all this. And he started leaking this and he pitched the idea to the radio program. People were like, hey, how would you like it for Superman to battle the Klan and we can pitch it as a villain? And he leaked actual stuff to the people making the story. So the radio program, had actual info, and it did. It caused a massive dent.
It did, yeah.
In membership. And it essentially kind of did smash, the Klan for a way. And you should read it. It's in Freakonomics. If you ever read the book, first of all, Freakonomics is
we talked about Freakonomics before we started, and it is a love of both of ours, yeah.
Yes. So
great guys, great storytelling.
You should check that out. But also
storytelling through economics, which is so weird. It's wonderful.
It made me almost get a degree in economics.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. I was telling you, I used to use it in classrooms.
Yeah. Yeah. But the thing that I love most so far about this book is that it's also the first time in the story-wise that they've done that Superman is experiencing kryptonite.
Yeah.
And what it does is it causes him pain. And it's one of those, usually I have to pretend like I'm in pain, but this causes me.
Look at that.
Well, no, that's the thing is when he looks at it, his hand appears to be alien.
Oh.
Because what it does is it also makes him feel, it makes him kind of unsure of himself. And he's like, oh no, people see me, they don't see me as one of them there to protect them. They see me as this alien too. And it's a really cool kind of, since they're using it to kind of, it's just so greatly done. I can't.
Can you go back to the cover?
Yeah.
Let me say one thing here, and I only noticed this because you talked about how this comic and radio series, not this comic, but the radio series and stuff like that, actually caused a decrease in the membership of the Klan. Mm-hmm. Well, one thing you don't ever want to do with something like this is, number one, you don't want to be heavy-fisted, right? And you're teaching a lesson because, boy, people don't like that. But it tells you it's the Klan, but it doesn't even feature them on the cover.
No.
It's just shadows of, I get it. I know who they're talking about. Mm-hmm. It's really, really well done.
No, it is. And I can't, it's a really well-written and gorgeous art throughout.
All those guys are white, too. It's weird.
Yeah. And it's even I loved this of where he sticks up for Pete Ross early on, when bullies are picking on him. And Pete's scared of, it shows him,
For some reason, I thought Pete Rose when you said that.
But Pete Ross. And so, it adds to, why he sees, I think, why it plays into why he sees himself like that, kind of in a way of, because he saves his friend Pete from bullies, but then Pete's scared of him, and he's like, well, I showed him who I was, and, and he ran away afraid from that. And it shows, obviously, the alien there on the pulp magazines I used to read together. It's so well done.
Yeah,
I just can't recommend it enough. The other one that I have to read right after that I've started is Secret Identity. I'm on a Superman kick, if you can't tell.
It looks like 90s.
It's 94 is when this came out.
It looks very much like it's influenced by Smallville kind of feeling.
It's before that, though.
No, I understand what I'm saying, but he looks like a guy who would be walking into town in the middle of Gilmore Girls.
Oh, for sure. Let me just give you the premise of this real quick, and then this might be one we have to cover. So in this world, Superman exists in a fictitious way. He is a comic book character.
Okay.
Only. But our story focuses on a guy whose parents with the last name Kent thought it would be funny, obviously, to name their son Clark.
Huh.
And they think he gets all this Superman stuff for, his birthday.
Yeah.
You must love Clark Kent.
Well, that's got to get old
He's
quick.
picked on by bullies and stuff like that. And so it's
there's nothing worse than telling people one thing you like and then they just do that for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And But then, so it's like this whole tale of like, there's not a real Superman. This Clark Kent, there's nothing special about him.
Yeah.
Until he early starts getting the powers of the actual super, the comic book character. And things just kind of go from there, and it's him turning into like the symbol.
Things go poorly for him? Oh, you haven't read it. Okay.
I haven't read it.
All right.
I'm just getting where I am. So that's what I'm working on.
Yeah, it's very cool.
I wanted to share that.
Huh.
Without further ado, though, let's get into what we came here for today, which is not that one. That's issue 3, which is Lex Luthor, Man of Steel. And the beauty of this is it's not going to be it's 5 issues. This came out in 2005. Brian,
Elseworld type stuff.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of and I think you'll get what they're going for here once we start it, but we'll see for sure. Brian Azzarello with the story, Lee Bermejo with the art, a group that are a duo that would work together then in 2008 on Joker. We covered them working together on Batman Damned. So we have covered this pair working together before. This whole comic follows Lex Luthor as our protagonist.
That art is super interesting.
And he is the narrator of this whole thing.
I like that.
So you would have to assume, or how I took this when I read this, is because you'll see Superman is how we see Superman in this book is how Lex sees Superman.
Okay.
It's how I took it when I did it.
That makes sense.
I also read somewhere that Nicholas Hoult kind of took a little bit of inspiration for his Lex from this, I think, too. And we'll kind of see just kind of how this Lex stacks up. We open up, he's building the sphere. He already has like his Lex Tower.
Yeah.
And he's building this giant like science sphere in Metropolis. And there's this whole like, intro of she will stand as a beacon shining even brighter, the star that is my Metropolis. Like he is very much in love with this city. And he very much like wants to just do everything he can to like raise up mankind to reach its fullest potential, right? That's all Lex is. He wants everybody to be able to dream and just reach out and achieve those dreams.
Is there
he
ever
wants
any
his city
sort of,
to be the best city it can possibly be.
Is there ever any sort of like looking back into Lex Luthor's childhood kind of thing? Because I'm assuming there is.
Funny enough, our World's Finest Wednesday has a story with him and Superboy.
Okay.
That we'll get into.
It feels like, somebody's hurt you, Lex. I don't know why you keep trying to prove
I think it's father stuff at some point.
Cool.
There's also another, I don't remember exactly what it is. There's a story in the Silver Age where Lex does something that embarrasses the family, and they lie to his sister and tell him that he died in like a hiking accident, and they leave town. They leave Smallville, and they change their last name. They change their last name to Thurl. It's like they take the L-U from Luthor at the beginning and just put it at the end. They flip it and put U-L. So it's like Thorul. And they change their last name to Thurl. Yeah. And Lex finds out that he has a sister.
Wow, how weird.
Yeah, Silver Age. This Lex is obviously...
Ooh, I don't like that.
Looking over the city, and he's, talking about how much he loves the city.
That looks like one of those Bible tracts we were talking about, like the ones they give away at churches.
A little bit.
Yeah.
There's this whole scene with him and the cleaning guy who's cleaning his office.
So you're going to be sinning tonight? That kind of thing.
A little bit, yeah. But the cleaning guy who's cleaning his tower there, and the cleaning guy's just like, "Oh, how you doing tonight, Mr. Luthor?"
His tower.
Cleaning
they're calling
cleaning his office at Luthor Tower. Sorry.
These kids are calling it weird things.
And like, there's this whole thing of like, evening, Mr. Luthor, and Lex is just like, "Oh, how many times have I told you to call me Lex?" And he's like, "I'm sorry." Like, it's this whole respect thing. And he's like sweeping up, and they get this conversation about his kid. Like, Lex is trying to talk and have this conversation with his, janitors.
Trying to be a guy.
I'm an everyman.
Trying to be a normal man.
I'm an everyman talking. They talk about his kid, and he tells him that he's smart, but he keeps skipping classes, and he doesn't know why. And he's like, it's just because he's not challenged. And he's like,
you want me to have him killed?
Well, no. He's like, he's just not challenged. He's like, you should tell him that, he can get into the science school. And he's like, that's prestigious. We don't have the money for it. And he's like, no. Tell him that he's getting in. Tell him that this semester, like, he gets A's, and then next semester, like, he'll get into whatever this prestigious science school is.
Okay.
He's like, tell him, like, I guarantee that. And the janitor's like, Mr. Luthor, you're not having. He's like, nope, Lex. Like, he's like trying to be like, this everyman again, just like here. And he gives him like the letter or the like acceptance, like invite to get in. He's like, he's gonna do it. Trust me. And as he moves from the janitor, we're introduced to Mona, which is kind of like his personal assistant, his secretary for this story.
Yeah.
And he tells Mona to like make room in that program, and she goes, "It's the class has already been decided." And he's like, "I'm not asking. I'm telling you, like make room. I just gave it away."
Yeah.
Just to kind of tell, like he does something good, but somebody else is still going to, suffer from it in a way.
Sure. I can save everyone in this room, but every time I push the button, somebody somewhere dies, and I don't know about it. Yeah.
Kind of. But so we find out that while they're in his office, he can turn like his windows into this TV, and they bring up this. They've been tracking this blur.
God,
obviously,
that would be super freaking cool, wouldn't it?
Would
you
be
just
really
go
cool.
Windows TV.
Yeah. No, I mean he's Lex Luthor. He has all
You
this
see a
cool
bunch
stuff.
of this in the background.
Well, yeah.
You wouldn't know what it was, but
nope.
you'd see a bunch of it.
And a bunch of blue blurs, like that's all it gets. It catches of him.
Yeah.
But you know that he's out hunting Superman. There's this weird thing where like Mona tells him like even with we can't catch him. Like I can't believe that. He's so fast. He's been here since I was a little girl, and it's really hard to believe that not just a man can fly, but that he can fly that fast. And Luthor very much this whole time is like he's not a man. Like he very much he wants to make that a point.
Yeah.
There's this weird convo. I found it weird where he's like, "And you were a little girl once," and Mona's just like, "Well, once upon a time." And Lex goes, "Did you want to marry him?" And she's like, "Excuse me?" That's just kind of a weird thing. And he's like, "Did you want to marry him? A childhood fantasy like Prince Charming?" And I get what they're trying to go for here of like, he's the strapping young Boy Scout that every, girl would want kind of do. But we do get this whole thing of where Mona's obviously into Lex. Lex isn't into Mona. Lex is into Superman and stopping Superman. Not like into Superman, but
wants him to clean his tower.
Yeah, no. But it just seems like he's very much so focused on whatever he has.
God,
there.
Superman's just like so dirty looking in this thing, like just so.
Again, and I think it's because it's from Lex's.
Yeah,
that's
Lex's
how I took
viewpoint.
it.
Yeah.
Because that's he would look down on Superman.
God,
and there's some art
being
later.
The only guy who's like, this guy is not what y'all are thinking.
Yeah. But like, there's this conversation between Mona and Lex after he asks her about marrying. She's like, like Superman will never break your heart. Or Lex says he can't never break your heart. Question, and she goes, he can't. He's super, not a man. Like she uses his words on him.
Yeah.
To which, no, he isn't. And you, by the way, you certainly aren't dressed to catch, or certainly dressed to catch one. Oh, I forget that. He's very much like I was saying. He's quick to point up anytime, like, he doesn't want to accept Superman for what the city has kind of already accepted them as a protector. He sees them as this, But at this point, at least at this point in our story, it's Metropolis.
Yeah.
There's more footage. See, I love that. That's why he looks so menacing then to Lex. Again, not a man, not even close, yet most accept him like a member of the family. Grown-up little girls and boys, certain that the uncertain will bully them, find comfort in their big brother from another planet. He's made himself appear so much like us, he has almost everyone forgetting he's not one of us. Almost.
What happened to that poor woman?
Which one?
Go back to
she
one that's like
fainted.
laying down there.
She fainted because it's Superman.
I thought at first she had been hit by that PT Cruiser we saw earlier.
No, she fainted because Superman.
Yeah, okay.
He gets a phone call. We see, obviously, this informant is a guy by the name of Orr, who they have hunted down. Orr, O-R-R, Orr. They have hunted down this doctor that Lex is looking for. It looks like he had been kidnapped from his home, as you can see there. And the guys with him have, I guess, crashed into the other vehicle and kind of taken them in, driving it hostage. And Lex asks Orr to let him speak to the doctor. And so to show him that he's space. And so he hands the phone to the doctor, and the doctor's like, he's like, yes. And Lex goes, Sasha, like, this is Lex. Are you okay? And the doctor's like, yeah, no, I'm fine. Your men, he saved me. And he's like, I need to thank you. And he's like, no, you can thank me later. He's like, I can bring you here where it's safe. I just need your help with stuff. And he's like, if you're sure it's safe, kind of like, I'll come. We find out that obviously he needs his help for some project. Yeah. He tells the men, he asks Orr to take care of the other men that like had kidnapped him originally, as you see that they do.
All the faces are just so overly complicated. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I like the art style. I'm not used to it.
Very much so.
Especially with a Superman like that. Wow.
Very much so. And so he's bringing this doctor back to Metropolis. We cut back to Lex, then hangs up the phone with Orr, and he's watching this footage of like Superman stopping these bank robbers and stuff as he just keeps going on even more. Like, you've been referred to. I just want to add some of the the writing in here, just to kind of give context. You've been referred to by some as the world's greatest Boy Scout, fighting for truth, justice, and the American way, as if that were some inseparable holy trinity. Truth, that is in the teller. Just calamity massaged words. Yeah, massaged words that very well may be nothing but carefully finessed lies. Justice belongs to the judge, who sits above those who put him there because they can't trust themselves. And the American way, it constantly evolves out of something that proves to be true and a lie, just and more. And all men are created equal. And he says it to him again, all men are created equal. All men, you are not a man. Like he has this beef, obviously. But he realizes the city has made him a hero, but he is going to show him.
Point, you can understand how he feels.
That's
the most frustrating thing for me about Lex Luthor, is the Gene Hackman Lex Luthor doesn't really exist.
No.
This is the true Lex Luthor, where he's torn because he's trying to protect the city, but somebody else is doing it for him, and he's like, "How dare you?"
Well, like the thing is I think I saw the mention. It's like artists and viewing AI art, or it's a way of like you have all these gifts and you want to.
Yeah.
You know, I guess if you're this is from Luthor's viewpoint. You have all these gifts and you want to save the city, and you can, but then something bigger, brighter, shinier comes through, and everybody's just enamored with that. And you're like, but I could, like, there's that, but there's also like, but he's also not like, you can't trust, like his thing here is like, this guy can, lift up cars and just throw it willy-nilly, and you're just going to trust him to like hug your kids? Like he could snap at any moment. What are we going to do then? Like he kind of has some points in this.
He does.
There's a nice little like back and forth between the two of them where he just kind of essentially tells them like, I have hope that I'm going to essentially like expose you, and just kind of, you froze on me. But
there's no real back and forth here though, right?
No, Superman's just there, and Lex is just talking to him.
Superman even really there, or is he just watching the TVs?
I think in there that he is just floating there.
Okay.
Because he can hear.
I take it as like him.
He can hear.
I take it as like it just being in his head.
It could be that
the whole time.
So that kind of sets the beginning of this. We find out that the science sphere that they've been building
doesn't it have a lot to do with Lex Luthor anyway? Yeah. It's all in his head for the most part, right? Short man syndrome, all that kind of stuff. He's got all that.
Oh yeah.
And I would imagine once you play it over and over and over in your head, if that's the constant thing that you are concerned with, then it would drive you mad like
absolutely.
this.
No, absolutely. Or at least the perceived story of that.
Yes.
Because that might not always be the case. Your truth might not be the real truth sometimes.
Yes.
Like,
Well, like you said, it's massaged words. I mean, that's what the truth is.
So the science fair they've been working on, problem is, right, it's being a little bit over budget, and they're running into problems with the union. Okay? So Lex tells them, okay, we'll just find a way around, like, the union rep. Like, we'll just, I forget what he says. He's like, we need to find solutions. He tells them, the union contracts were signed. Like, they're only for construction, no? And he's like, well, yeah, we're still negotiating the rest of them. He's like, all right, so what we're going to do is on opening day, like we'll take them as far as that. And then on opening day, we'll switch to nonprofit and we'll take all their contracts basically away from them. We're going to do what we want to. Yeah. Like he's just, he's like, they don't want to cut costs for us.
Yeah.
Like this is what we'll do. He goes, so they go as far as opening day. What if we were to open the science sphere as a nonprofit institution? And he goes, you're talking about where is this at? Sorry.
The ability for one man to screw over his
and
common
then he goes,
never ending.
He goes, you mean to cut out the unions after we're up and running? That would take some doing. Like we'd have to get a governmental approval and take our current business plan off the table. And Lex just takes the business plan and just drops it. And he's like, done. That's all we'll do. All right. Like, leave. He's like, have a profitable day, gentlemen. Like he's trying to, screw over people. Mm-hmm. And Mona tells him like, all right, you're dealing with like a tough guy, like Tony Amonte, the union guy. Like he's not going to budge on this.
Yeah, you probably don't want to screw with those guys.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, he's not going to budge on this. He's very much about getting what his guys want. And he goes, he has a job that he's supposed to do. I'm just expecting him to do his job. Like, in the long run, he'll do what's best for everybody. And that's like all he says. As we leave away, and Lex and Mona go down to check on the doctor that we saw from the first time.
And he's turned into Woody Allen.
And he has. And he asks him, how's the patient? And the patient is, we see a woman there in this floating liquid.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Okay.
Lex talks to her. Seems like Lex is very just taken aback by her. He's very into her.
Yeah.
Mona is very much not to the fact that he's very much into this woman in the fluid. But like there is some weird kind of like romantic tension between the two of them, right? But he asked the doctor like how she's doing, like she's getting better, and he's like, "All right, I'll come back and talk to you tomorrow." And he goes like, "There is something that we need though. I can't get my hands on." And he's like, "Whatever you need, like just let me know." And he goes, "Lex, I'm a doctor, a scientist. I just have theories, like all these things, and to make sure they work." And he's like, "Just tell me what you need, and I'll get it done." Kind of like he's like, "You imagine." He goes, "I thought you had everything." And he goes, "You imagine I did, Sergey, and an image is never everything." And like he leaves, but tells him like, "Whatever you need, let me know." Lex goes back, and he's planning a trip, and he goes and he pulls something out of his desk safe as he's on a phone call, and he goes, "You don't have to, but dinner sounds nice, and it's just dinner, right? I mean, you have a reputation. No surprises, okay? You don't know who he's talking to." And he has like a little box of something. And he hangs up as Mona and one of the businessmen from the meeting earlier come in. And they're like, yeah, we got a no to a second shift without overtime. We got a no to any of the new hires working any of those shifts. And we got a yes to a work stoppage if we turn nonprofit. Like everything you wanted, they've just backed up.
Yeah.
He's like, he doesn't have to. He goes, that's fine if he doesn't want to play fair. Or he goes, so he doesn't want to play fair. And the guy goes, he doesn't have to play fair. Like he has this contract. Like he can do what he wants to.
You weren't playing fair to begin with.
Exactly.
But yeah, okay.
So then Lex is flying. Like he's on a flight headed somewhere. And we don't know where. Like he has a business trip to go to. Or like he's heading out on work. And he's still trying to figure out the contract problem. And this Superman problem, or this thing with the woman in the tube. Like he has multiple things that he's trying to figure out. And he tells Mona, like I'm hoping to figure a couple things out while I'm up in the air. And while he's up flying in the air, we see Orr from issue 1, the guy, at a job site with Tony Amante, who was the union guy.
Okay.
And they're looking around the site. And he's like, "Thanks for showing me around."
He's going to push him off that building.
He goes, "Thanks for showing me around everything up here. Like, anything we can do. We've heard that Lex runs some shoddy sites. So, like, anything you can show me to get these write-ups, that'd be great." And he's like, "Yeah." And he's talking to him about, he's like, "Hey, you got any kids, by the way?" And Tony's like, "Oh, yeah, 2 daughters, man." Like, he's talking about this, how much he loves his guys. Like, just, well, he catches a sledgehammer to the chest.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting there, and he's just taking a beating. And then we see cut back to Lex, kind of in his plane, as they're flying over. Yeah. And he gets a phone call, and he's like, "Oh, Mr. Orr." And Mr. Orr goes, "I have some good news for you." And Lex goes, "Well, I could use some." And he puts the phone up to Tony's ear. And Tony's like, I'll renegotiate those contracts. And he's like, Mr. Amante, I appreciate that very much. And he's like, if when I get back, I'd really like us to be able to, make things happen and kind of take care of your guys too. Like Lex is trying to sound like a, good guy. And and Amante's like, "Yeah, that would be nice, us to kind of talk." He's like, "Of course, like I've always been sensitive to unions, but some unforeseen costs, like, they kind of make me have to do this. You understand my position?" He's like, "I do, Mr. Luthor." And like you get a cutout to see like Orr has him just right on the edge with his foot on his back, like about to kind of like push him off. And so that's one solution that Lex is down. And what is his next solution, maybe? Well, he's arrived in Gotham to meet with Bruce Wayne.
Oh.
So that's his 1 down, 1 to go. And we have to switch to issue 3 of our story of Lex Luthor, Man of Steel, where we get Batman.
Not Catman.
Not Catman, but Batman.
Okay. All right.
So, we see that Bruce, after meeting him there at the, airport, has kind of just like disappeared on Lex for a while until their dinner later. So it's Alfred who's just like driving Lex around and they're talking. And Lex has kind of like takes a liking to Alfred, and he asks him, he's like, all these years doing all this, how long is your contract? And Alfred goes, "I'm flattered, Mr. Luthor," but he's like, no. You're more loyal than flattered, and I respect that. Yeah. Like, it's just pointing like, Lex can spot like a good, company, kind of like right-hand man there. And
well,
Alfred.
You can't buy loyalty.
And that's the thing there then too. We do see cuts of while he's like leaving Gotham, or I guess like flying around. There's cuts of Batman, obviously there in the city.
Gotham looks bad.
It does.
It looks like freaking Transylvania.
Yeah. So, Lex.
Even the heads coming off the buildings are screaming. Look at them.
They are. So we'll get cut-ins through this whole issue of things happening with Batman and things happening at dinner between Lex and Bruce. So while he's there, I'm assuming when they first arrive, like they're talking about, Lex tells Bruce that he's come to him because he wants to like do a joint venture. Like he heard about stuff that Wayne Foundation's been doing with Alzheimer's research, and he wants to like do a joint venture with things that they're working on. He tells him, I wanted to see where he actually gives the, I don't remember where it's at. We'll get back to the Batman part of this. I'm just trying to explain why they're there, and I can't remember. Oh, here we go. I heard Thomas Labs had made a fairly shattering breakthrough on the Alzheimer's research front, and I think that could be beneficial on another. And he goes, like, it doesn't grow hair if that's what you're thinking, is what Bruce tells Lex about it. And he's like, no, let's just say if I were to say yes, like, what? Where is it at? I'm trying to find where he talks about it. Oh, so essentially, when he tells him, when they talk about the research, I'll just do it on my own. When they talk about like wanting to churn the research, I think Lex brings up to Bruce the, just not knowing about Superman, about being able to control him, about what, all that kind of stuff, about how he has something that might be able to help in that. And and he gives Bruce or Batman some kryptonite. That's what it is there. Yeah. There's a battle between, I'm assuming
this is early on. Does it feel to you like there's just too much friggin' kryptonite floating around?
Yes.
It's just a lot of kryptonite.
There is. And they
red, green, blue, whatever.
There is. Well, I think that also sometimes I like when you can use it in creative ways, but sometimes I feel like people use it as a crutch too. Anyway,
I agree.
And so there's a battle between like Batman. I say battle. There's not a fight.
Kryptonite, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but like Superman blows it out of like Batman's hand, and he like ends up going down, and like Batman's trying to, because he was gonna see what it does, and Superman ends up like crashing it. Like there's a battle between the two of them over this kryptonite sample, which leads then Bruce to eventually, Bruce to eventually accepting Luthor's like idea of, hey, we'll do this joint thing together. So he gives him that. See, this is where he gives him the box. Here we go. It's just fine.
Okay.
And he's like, let me go a little bit before that. Sorry. He goes, when he can rule it, talking about the world and Superman, like because Batman's like, good thing he wants to help protect us and not like be, evil about it. And Lex goes, well, what if he changes his mind? What if tonight he looks down at us and decides, you know what, I'm more capable to manifest my own destiny than just to protect these guys. And he goes, what if tomorrow he wakes up believing he knows what's best for us and that it's not enough to just protect the world, that he wants to rule it. The only safeguard we have against happening is what? His word, is what Lex kind of tells Bruce. And he goes,
why does Bruce Wayne look like Dennis Leary?
A little bit, he does. And he goes, well, what choice do we have? And Lex tells him, no, that's the wrong question you're answering. What you should be asking is, what can we choose to do about it? And that's where he gives him the box, and Bruce goes, are you popping the question? And he's like, no, it's kryptonite. Yeah. And so that's how Bruce gets it. And I'm thinking, he goes, oh, you're offering me this exchange? And he goes, I'm giving it to you with no strings. Even if you decide not to share Thomas Labs research, I want you to have it. The perfect gift for the man who has everything. And he goes, except
does Bruce already know what this does?
I don't think so. I think maybe potentially. Okay. I'm thinking that this is like a first time that he's kind of gotten it. Like it's not really
assuming
explained.
The world's greatest detective already knows.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay.
Because to me, it's like I have kryptonite. Superman just sees he has kryptonite. He doesn't know Batman. Batman doesn't know Superman. Yeah. I don't want kryptonite out there. And he just like, that's what I'm thinking of there. But I think the battle between them over this is what leads to, because you see like Batman fall down there and Superman like walk over him and look down.
Yeah, he's just trying to figure out what it does to him.
Right? And he it looks like Superman just punches Batman in the face. Like just hardcore. Because we get a call the next day. Hello, Lex, Bruce Wayne here. And you look at his face, like Band-Aid over the nose. It looks like Superman obviously pummeled him a bit.
When you went through it fast, I really thought it was a Joker.
Yeah. But you see here, Batman looks like he's fine. That looks like Batman got beaten up. And he tells him, you can have what you want. So apparently, whatever happened then with the kryptonite has calmed Bruce to gone around and be like, yeah, we can share our, our research. Now we're going to get into the big part of the story here.
Okay.
So you remember the woman that was there in the... Oh, sorry. Lex is talking about the opening of the Science Sphere. He's talking about how he's going to leave the... I think there's a problem with the contracts, but he's going to leave the upper floors unfinished for the next generation to come and, build up and to build towards the...
Sure.
Yeah, he's like, I want you guys to do that.
Yeah.
Right? And they also debut that flying woman there. He's like, I believe that's, what I believe in is hope. Like we can, there's a lot. When we cover these stories, I leave a lot of the dialogue and stuff out so you can read through and get a good understanding of yourself.
Absolutely.
But also give you the basic story when you're going into it. But there's a lot of talk about him about he believes in humanity. He believes that, I believe in a high power. I believe that we need to boost from each other to reach the clouds. I believe that that's why I was put on this earth to help, I believe that LexCorp gives you all hope. And he points up at the woman who was in the thing earlier.
Yeah, she was in the
around. Goop. No. Superman's not going to be the savior of Metropolis. Lex has brought us the new savior of Metropolis. Lex Luthor has brought Metropolis hope.
It's Ultra Woman.
So, and there's a whole campaign for it then too. And he talks about it's been nearly a month since Hope debuted. And in that short span that everybody loves her, she's captured the heart of Metropolis, right? I love this. Cynics like Clark Kent have pointed out that this may be due to what he has faced as the selling of a hero. But that's like dismissing a silver lining in favor of the gray cloud, which I kind of like that line.
Yeah, no, it's a good.
But I also love that he's painting Clark Kent, obviously, as the this reporter Clark Kent. Little things like that.
You think he knows? Okay.
But we see footage then of her saving in the same kind of footage that we saw of Superman earlier.
Well, there she is lifting a car, the whole thing.
Her saving Metropolis, the people cheering her on.
She looks much better in this than Superman did. Yeah.
And Lex says, insecure men ignorantly seeking to tell people what to think. But what we think, I've learned, is secondary to what we feel. We are not machines. We are human beings. And our intellect, for better or worse, is slave to our emotions. Some of these are out of order, I'm noticing.
Yeah, you're good.
And so he tells her, I'm proud of you, Hope. Very proud of you. You're more than I dreamed you'd ever be. And she kind of gets embarrassed by this and just kind of flattered. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. What did that make you feel? She's like, I was just a girl before. And he's like, you were never a girl. Oh, you're blushing again. He's just and Mona's just
it's weird how she responds though, where she says, I'm happy that you feel that way. Or I'm happy I make you feel that way. Mm-hmm. That seems like an odd response because it should be, it's almost like she's skirting around something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mona's like beat-oop, and he's like, it's getting a little, is it a little hot in here? Where is that at? I think it's out.
Is it hot in here or the girl that just came out of the strawberry jello?
Maybe if you turn the heat down. Really, Mona, do you think it's hot? That's what he says. And she hears something. She's like, all right, Lex, there's a fire. I should go. And she goes, but I'll be back. And Lex just was like, just come back. He's very much in love with his Hope in a weird, And
well, why wouldn't he be? It's somebody he created. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. And Mona's just like, can I talk freely, Lex? And he goes, I sign your checks, Mona. She goes, do you want to know what I think about all this? And Lex just goes, no, here's what you think. My boss is getting dangerously close to making a mistake that could ruin him. He's been touched by an ideal when all I want is for him to touch me. Despite the way I dress, he won't notice me. He only has eyes for his ideal. How can I change that? How can I make myself ideal? And she just goes, you bastard, and storms out. And he goes, no, Mona, I'm an idealist. He's just very cold and very...
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
Again, I think when Nicholas Hoult says I get a little inspiration from this, I get kind of the part that I think we're going to get. We're going to get he fully believes that he is doing what's best for the city.
Yeah.
And he is just disgusted by Superman. And I think he's going to be, a little bit of a cold, calculated asshole.
I think this is very, very close to the story. Mm-hmm. From what we've seen in the previews and all that stuff, yeah.
So, and they get back there, and everybody on the board is talking about how her Q ratings through the roof and how they all love it. And he's busy watching an interview of her on TV. Uh-huh. And they're just like, and she's like, my favorite place to eat? Oh, you're going to hate me, but Pineapple King. And she's like,
Pineapple King?
Yeah, she goes, I just love that place. The chili dogs, and they're like with brown mustard, banana peppers, and onions. And like the host is just going crazy.
Best.
Yeah. The host is just going crazy over her. And she's like, oh, now that they know this, when you leave us for the Justice League, there's going to be a line at Pineapple King around the block. And she's like, no, you have that wrong. Like, I'm not leaving anywhere.
What's the one that keeps coming up in the James Gunn universe? Fat Belly? Belly?
No. Big Belly Burger's been in a lot of stuff. Also, I don't know if we've noticed in the trailer, the Hammer of Barovia, like there's a part where he like breaks or he destroys like a place where they're having a meeting, and there is like somebody's giving a pitch, and there's Chacos in there, which is like the Oreo equivalent.
Yeah.
Martian Manhunter
loves his Chacos. Yeah.
So
I only know that because of that guy I watch. Emergency Awesome. I didn't know that before.
So he's just watching.
Didn't do a deep dive on Martian Manhunter. I don't know if you can believe that or not.
You did or didn't?
I did not.
Oh, well, that's a shame for you.
Is it?
Yeah, Martian Manhunter's solid. So,
okay. Loved him at the end of that Justice League movie. That was really good.
But it's just going to show you that
he just like shows up for the hell of it.
Yeah. Well, that everybody is like enamored with her.
Yeah.
They all love her.
Yeah.
They don't care about.
She's working exactly the way she was intended to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like 2 weeks in a lifetime. Like 2 weeks is until the sphere. I don't remember what I think the sphere fully opens. Like everything's on schedule for it.
The problem with this though is how do you make people turn on Superman now? Which I'm assuming is coming, but I'm saying in my mind, I'm like, yeah, it's great that she's loved by all these people and her Q ratings are great, but now how do you make his bad?
So
it's coming.
They have it here where Orr meets with Shot. What's it? Is it Lionel? Dang, what is Shot's first name? It's Toyman. It's the guy who's Toyman.
Oh, okay.
Here's the thing, though, that I didn't necessarily.
Like a pedo or something? Toyman?
Was he really?
Wasn't he like a bad? I mean, he was like a bad dude. Like not just.
He isn't here. So Toyman, like that is what he isn't here. Toyman, when we covered him, I think the only other time we've covered Toyman is in Alan Moore's.
Maybe it's just the name that's getting.
No, I get it. But in Alan Moore's story of Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, Toyman creates like little Supermen, I think, that kill Pete Ross in them. Remember?
Okay.
Like it kills. Yeah. Anyway. But in this, he is like that.
Is he?
Yeah. But or
it's not hard to spot.
Yeah, but they draw him like that too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
or kind of like gives them plans of like this robbery they have planned. Yeah. And he just needs them to create like these because he is known. He's like a small time toy man's just like this small time crook who like creates these toys and stuff. And he's like, create your toys, do a bomb to help us with this like robbery. And he's like, what's my take? And he's like, 30,000. He's like, no, make it 40. He's like, no, you'll get 30. Like they have this thing, and they talk about his problem. Like it does set it up like that. But what happens is Lex is out like getting papers.
The more you read
day.
this comic book, the sleazier it feels.
It does.
It starts to get like gritty and raw. It's like I don't like any of these people.
Nope. And
including Superman.
And so it's because it's the way they draw it.
Yeah.
And so, where was that? Oh, and so there's a boom that goes off. Well, I just feel like we're super like laggy for some reason.
Yeah.
But there's a boom that goes off, and Lex is like, "Well, what's going on?" Well, it's obviously somebody like ushers Lex into the car, and they're trying to figure out what happened. And it looks like somebody attempted a jewelry robbery, and they put a bomb up to the safe to like cause it to go off. But the thing is, the jewelry or the gem store was next door to a daycare. And when the bomb went off, like 70 people died. And that includes like
bunch of kids.
Men, women, and kids. It's horrendous. This terrible thing that's happened. And what we find out then is
Toyman.
Well, yeah, it's Toyman who's done it. Like they release image, like they release camera footage of him doing doing this.
Yeah.
They also of him leaving the bear out there, and Orr's at the bar talking about like shooting, like, you know how hard it is to shoot a bear, and he like is getting drunk. Well, finds out the two of them essentially. Well, we'll find it when we get there. Mona turns in her. Let me make it full screen so I can read it better again. Mona and Hope is there, and she's like, I gotta go, like, get Toy Man. Essentially, is what we find. Where it goes. Let me pick where we're. Hopeless. You can imagine. Can you? Oh, she goes, I can't imagine. Oh, the mothers and the fathers. Hope is saying this while she goes, the mothers and the fathers, the ones who lost their children. I can only imagine how they must feel. And Mona goes, oh, how's that? Hopeless? You can imagine? You can imagine. But, honey, you can't. And she goes, and Hope just kind of hangs around. She goes, you're right. I'm being presumptuous. And she goes, no, you imagine. You imagine you are. Like, there's this real kind of just hatred between, like, Mona and Hope there. And Lex is like, it's a whole house of cards, and it's like, I'm selling, it's the selling of a hero, Mr. Kent. Like, he questions it. Like, then, he gets off and he finds out that the doctors, he and his family were dropping his kids off at the daycare at the time. And he's like, I told him I was going to keep him safe. Like, I promised him. And now
the guy who created Hope.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're all dead. He's like, I promised I'd keep him safe. It's like, Mona, make arrangements. And she's like, I'll get on. He's like, now.
That had to be by design.
So it's not said, but
yeah.
And she goes,
well, it's just like the guy with the union contract or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else does his dirty work.
Hope goes, I have to go find Toy Man. And he's like, yes, you will, but that has to wait. What Mona was saying, how does that make you feel? And she goes, like, because of my abilities, I'm less than a woman. And he goes, Hope. He goes, you're not a woman. You are something more. I love you. And of course, like, he starts, making out with her. Yeah. And that takes us to our final issue here. With issue 5, we get to the conclusion of our story. And what happens is, after the two of them do it, well, you knew that was going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah, she's getting dressed, and he's like, Hope, like, every eye on Metropolis is on you now to bring that monster to justice. All I ask is to see you later. He's like, meet me on top of the science sphere.
He's talking about Toy Man as the monster?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's like, meet me on top of the science sphere. And he says, I feel her smile in my core. Her responsibility belongs to this city, but her heart, it's one of those moments in life that I pray will be unforgettable. And like, so she flies away, and Mona walks in, and like, knock, knock, knock. And Lex is like, come in. And he's just sitting there, just butt ass naked as Mona walks in. And she's like, and he's like, I gave Sasha my word, and this family, would be safe in Metropolis, and they weren't. And he like throws her
I don't like
robe.
it naked.
Yeah. And she goes, is there anything else? And she's like, yeah, here's my letter of resignation. And he's like, I'll see you in the morning, Mona. And she's like, good night, Mr. Luthor. And she just leaves. Like, she's quit. She's done with this. We get a phone call, and he's Mr. Orr. And Orr's like, what do you want? To thank you. And he's like, go to hell. He's like, you set us up. You knew what was happening here. Because he talked about, like, Toy Man created the toy.
Right.
Threw it out there, and Orr was the one who caused the explosion.
Yeah.
And they didn't know anything. And so that's when he's like, oh, come on. If the cost of the job was higher than you anticipated, perhaps we can work something out then. Why don't you come by the tower? And he's like, believe me, Luthor, I'd love to come by the tower, but I'm in no shape to drive because he's been drinking. He's obviously.
Yeah.
And Luthor's like, oh, that's okay. I'll send a car. And he's like, no, don't bother. And Luthor's like, basically like, no, it's already on its way. And he, like, Orr hops up and grabs his gun, and now he's paranoid.
Because he knows he's going to be erased. Yeah,
exactly.
Because he's a loose end.
That Luthor's neck. That's what he's doing. That Luthor is going in and taking out all these loose ends.
Yeah.
And so he just sits there and nervously, like, watches by the window. We see then the red streak. Obviously, Superman's going to go try to apprehend Toy Man too. But when we get there, we do get to see Toy Man messing up, and he's like talking to his toys like to protect him. And he's like, make sure nobody gets in here. And like he tells the soldier, he's like, they're coming from two different directions. What do I do? And he tells him, tell him Operation Red and Blue, because obviously he's dealt with Superman before, so that's his only protocol he knows what to deal with. So everybody is watching on TV as Superman is going to try to apprehend Toyman 2. It's like the cops are outside, Superman's in there, and Toyman has his toys obviously trying to attack, and stop Superman there. While everybody's watching, though, Hope does show up. I guess let me give some of Lex's narration through this, though, just to kind of hit home, just to set up the scene, though.
Yeah, please.
Because you've made it clear what you want. He's talking to Superman. Like, I know what you'll do because you've made it clear what you won't. As hard as it is to believe, your arrogance may actually be greater than your abilities. You profess a love of humanity, but that is an emotion you can't possibly know because those same abilities make it impossible for you to know its opposite. It's something that today has its grip on every heart in Metropolis. Fear. Right now, every citizen in Metropolis is glued to their television, waiting desperately for someone of strength to make the fear go away. And like an avenging angel, she swoops down. Winslow, on his best day, Winslow shot the Toyman, was nothing but a petty criminal and a failed human being. I made him a monster. The city fears him, and it watches, hoping for one thing. As Hope like he's talking about how he's orchestrated all this.
Yeah, sure.
And so Hope grabs him grabs
Superman's
Toyman
still
by
busy
beating up all the toys that are
Army
attacking
Man
him,
and all that stuff. Yeah,
probably trying to protect everything else that's going around. And Hope grabs him by Toyman by the back of his neck and flies him up into the sky. And as she flies him up, or she goes, the city fears him, and it watches, hoping for one thing. Justice. And we see her flying up with him, and you see her hand gripping his shirt, and then you see a mouse click on her hand, and a hand up there click on the mouse, and her fist unclenches, and Toyman starts to fall.
Oh wow.
And he goes, a justice that at the last moment is snatched from them as Superman comes by.
Because he knows he can't just let him die.
No, and scoops him and saves him.
That's not who Superman is.
No. And he's like, I created Hope, and with the aid of, oh, dang it, I went too far. Dang it. Because it's out of order.
Yeah, I get it. Sure.
Anyway, so there's a battle between the two of them, right? Because he goes, he's Hope, my Hope. She doesn't understand. She thinks, because she's looking at her hand what happened.
Yeah.
And he goes, it's her body that betrays her. If only my tears don't brand me as her Judas. But like his actions, mine is preordained as well. If only by me I created Hope. And then, with the aid of a man who feared for his family and a boy in love with himself, I created a machine that imagined it was human, and I gave a dream a form I could touch. So we see now that Hope is not human after all. It's an android that they created to be this, thing. We see, obviously, there was attack between the two, and Superman's heat vision kind of exposes it as it nicks her there. Yeah. And he can obviously tell that when the two of them are fighting. He could tell not being able to hear her heartbeat. Sure. So while they're fighting back and forth, the two things, and I've delivered her to an altar for an alien sacrifice, an alien that holds life sacred above all else, an alien that sees no life and hope. That's what obviously he sees that she's an android, not a human, so that's why he's fighting her. And Luthor uses this because you see the news copter up there watching Superman and Hope fighting, and we get an auto destruct that he clicks and a detonate as you see a nice shot of Hope's eye because she doesn't know what's happening, and a giant explosion there at the unfinished science sphere, for his house of cards to completely fall down. And so, even through the dust, and you see Luthor there, I see your eyes. I know of your remarkable visions, but let me tell you what you can't see. My soul is what he's sitting there. And Superman is now floating outside Luthor Tower because Superman, obviously, I guess, is figuring out Luthor had, a part to do in all this. And he goes, and there's not a soul in Metropolis who watched Hope drop the monster and given that same opportunity like they wouldn't have done it themselves. Like, I was giving them what they wanted. And he's like, how does that make you feel, knowing that that's the people you protect, huh? You arrogant alien bastard, is what he tells him as he kind of turns and looks. And I love that because he's like, your silence speaks volumes. You understand my words, but you refuse to believe what they mean. Is that because you see something in humanity that in truth isn't there, or that you're blind to what the truth really is? And he's like, come on, tell me. Like, he's like sitting there like daring Superman. And I do love this quote because Superman just goes, as he's staring at him, he goes, you're wrong. I can see your soul. And then he just sits there and he won't say anything else. And Luthor just beats there on the glass. And he's like, no, you can't. You can't possibly. Like, you would see a man willing, if you could, you would see a man who willingly denied himself happiness. Like, I gave up my happiness for this. Who choose to give up hope for a world without you, for a world without Superman. Like, that's what you would see. He's like, I know I can't beat you alone.
That's how you kill Lex Luthor, is you ignore him.
And he's like, yeah. But
honestly, that's the worst thing to him in the world.
He goes, alone, but then I'm not alone. There are 6.5 billion of me. He's like telling them more than like that. And only one of you. And we can drive you back to the blackest places of where you came from. And he tells them, what the world watched you do tonight, if it changes just one person and what they think about you, that's enough. And he tells them, just fly away. And Superman does, and he goes, what gives measure to a man's choice is what he has to give up to make them. I am a man. I hope. And that's where it ends.
Huh.
So the whole story, just to show then obviously that Lex is about basically giving up whatever he can to get what he wants. And in that case, it was showing the world that Superman's not as great as everybody thought he was.
Yeah,
and
but
he's just kind of obsessed with that.
Like I say, that is part of this whole story, though. Is again there at the very end. If you ignore Lex Luthor, if you don't give him what he wants, that's the way you ultimately defeat him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. So there you go.
It's very deep for a Superman story.
Yes. Well, I think that again, Nicholas Hoult said that he kind of read that and I think took some inspiration from his Luthor from that. So I thought that's a good,
well, it's cool too,
kind of mindset to take from him.
Nicholas Hoult is, he originally was trying to be Superman, and so I think this is a very good juxtaposition of those two roles, in his head.
For sure. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So there you go. What we have coming up on Wednesday, our World's Finest Wednesday, is another Lex Luthor story, a little bit shorter.
It's Wiener Wednesday.
It is, and Mike asked about why he's so angry.
Yeah.
But did Mike also ask, maybe, we'll wait till Wednesday because I don't want to give anything away because people are still trying to figure out your video behind you.
Yeah. If anybody can tell me what that is, it's paused. Look at it. Why did it pause?
Oh, I wonder if maybe we were.
Maybe we were experiencing some difficulties.
Does it? It doesn't say the name on there, so that's cool.
Thank God.
Now it shows that it's playing, but nothing's happening.
Yeah.
Maybe the video just went out. There we go.
There we go. Okay.
Well, that was a close one, guys.
Did that help, guys?
Yeah.
Take a look at that. Tell me what that is.
So there you go. Tune in with us on Wednesday as we have another Lex Luthor story, and then next week we dive into All-Star Superman. I'm super excited to get into that. Thank you guys, as always, for taking the time out to watch, to listen to however you ingest our podcast.
Ugh.
Okay, sorry, I should have picked a better word. Make sure to check out Rogue Media Network and all the great podcasts on the Rogue Media Network family of podcasts.
RogueMediaNetwork.com.
And until next time. Oh, well, hold on. And I had to get ready. Until next time. Stay safe, everybody.
Hey, if anybody out there knows people in Cincinnati that runs a little theater troupe there that produces a thing called Zoinks, tell them to contact me because I would love to talk to those folks. Yeah, I know. It just came out of the blue. Yeah. All right. And Golly Khan, by the way.
Frozen heroes. Gonna tell you about frozen heroes. Gonna tell you about.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.